Welcome back to the Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. CBS News polling shows somewhat tight race for California's governor in the open primary in that state. Republican Steve Hilton, 16%. Democrats Tom Steyer, Javier Becerra, trailing him somewhat closely. But look at that. 26% of those polled undecided. The candidates will hold their second debate tonight, hosted by CBS. I want to mention that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, that will be simulcast right here on CBS News 24/7. I want to bring in our political panel, Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to the DNC, Zac Petkanas, and a well-recognized figure in New York politics, former Republican New York City mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa. Before we get to the California thing, gentlemen, great to have you with you. I want to read a statement we just got from James Comey, former FBI director. Well, they're back, he says. This time about a picture of seashells on a North Carolina beach a year ago, and this won't be the end of it, but nothing has changed with me. I'm still innocent, I'm still not afraid, and I still believe in the independent federal judiciary. So let's go. Curtis, your reaction to the second indictment of James Comey, former FBI director, over seashells that said 86-47.
Now, was this done by the Department of Justice and the interim attorney general, or is this done by Donald Trump himself in his act of vengeance and revenge? This is like The Godfather, you know, he's out with a vendetta. Stop it. You see, your polls are so bad. We're going to get destroyed in the midterm elections. And now he's going to go after Tish James, all of his other perceived or real enemies. It's not what you should be using the Department of Justice. He was embarrassed the first time. He'll be embarrassed again.
And this is not just bad justice, but bad politics from your point of view.
Absolutely. People are not interested in this. Affordability, cost of living, and the fact that a cost of a gallon of gas average $4.17. What the hell are we doing in Iran?
Zach, I don't think you need to add very much to that, do you?
No, I agree. But I think it's actually pretty directly connected to the affordability piece. This is an attempt to distract from the fact that gas prices, as Curtis just said, are $4 a gallon, that we have the price of beef is up 12% over the last year. They'll do anything to try to change the subject, even with this nutty vengeance track that Curtis talked about to try to change the subject.
Let's go out to California, my home state where I grew up. San Diego's where I'm from. There's an open primary in California, so the top two finishers go to the general election. Zach, this is a persistent question for Democrats. Is there going to be a Democrat in there in the top two? And is it going to be Tom Steyer, of all people, a billionaire who suddenly become Mr. Progressive?
Look, I think that the California race is, I'm not sure who the Democratic nominee is going to be, but I think there is definitely going to be one. But I think the interesting thing for me is on the Republican side is Steve Hilton, who seems to be consolidating amongst Republicans. That should be
got the Trump endorsement.
Got the Trump endorsement, which I think is actually really bad news for California Republicans. The Trump endorsement, he is so toxic right now with gas prices in California that are skyrocketing. We have grocery prices that are going crazy because of the tariffs. Steve Hilton is going to have to own every single one of those Trump policies because of this endorsement, and that is bad news for Republicans in California.
Curtis, you have lived experience with being a Republican in a place or a jurisdiction that is predominantly Democratic. California didn't always exist that way, but it exists that way now. Any advice for Steve Hilton?
Well, they got an advantage with this guerrilla primary, right? You could end up with two Republicans. But my problem with Hilton has nothing with what he stands for. But now that the king and the queen are over here, and I hate the royalty, up the rebels, right? I listen to this guy's English accent, and I said, you know, Californians are pretty open-minded. But I think when all is said and done, that's going to resonate. That's going to hurt him. I actually like the sheriff from Riverside County. I know he's...
Chad Bianco.
Right, he's trailing in the polls, but I think he's the better candidate if you're looking at a Republican.
So here in New York, I've got to talk to you gentlemen about New York. The governor has proposed a pied-à-terre tax. Now, I don't know what that is. I don't know what a pied-à-terre is from a poppy seed muffin. I'm not wealthy enough for that. But apparently it's about people who have second homes. Let's run this soundbite from current New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani about that policy. Listen.
I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million.
Curtis.
You know, the Citadel billionaire must be the most unlucky guy in the world. He loves Chirac.
That's Ken Griffin, right?
He loves Chicago. He had to pick up and move. Who can blame him there? You know, he'd be subject to drive-by shootings. Comes to New York. He's got his penthouse. He has another apartment. And he's all bent out of shape. And Zohran Mamdani's out downstairs doing a video. Meantime, they're backdooring it with the governor. And you know who started this whole Pierre Dutay, you know, the second tax? Pierre Dutay. It was Andrew Cuomo. That's where it all started. Cuomo's the architect. Zohran Mamdani's the apprentice. And they're just going to have to get used to it. And if they don't
Good
like
idea,
it,
bad idea?
I'm saying if they don't want to pay it, they're free to move. That's what's great about America. Montana, Wyoming, there's plenty of land out there.
Zach, give me your evaluation of this, 45 seconds.
I think it's going to be very hard for Americans to feel bad for a guy with a $238 million Manhattan penthouse apartment that he barely visits. And he's very concerned. He has his feelings hurt because a tweet said he may have to pay a little more in taxes. There are things to criticize Mamdani about, perhaps, but hurting Ken Griffin's feelings is not one of those things.
Curtis?
Oh, taxing billionaires is very popular. Notice the initiative in California, it's going to be on. But the other initiative, that's why I love California initiative and referendum, you got to show ID when you vote. So there's a conservative initiative and referendum, and there's a liberal initiative and referendum. Let the people decide.
That's why we love California. That's why I love California. Zac Petkanas, very great to have you. Curtis Sliwa, great to have you in the program. Thanks for being with us.